All right. So with the older generation who decide that they're not going to be active fathers, what's the mindset that they are taking on? Like, is it a, the relationship is dissolved, so my responsibilities are dissolved? Is it what Marcus is saying? Because I've heard that's not the first time I've heard that, right? Like, I did it to make them tough. Is it?
That's a bullshit ass reason. No.
I don't disagree with you, but it doesn't mean
So,
people aren't using that excuse, right?
so I'm gonna again get personal and use a personal example. I'm actually gonna try to speak from my dad's point of view. He
Okay.
was an out of sight, out of mind kind of guy because he not to give him an excuse, but he was always on the go, always on his hustle. So unless I was there with him, I was the furthest thing from his mind because I got the I got the opportunity to see how he thought. Well, I mean, once I went down there and started to rekindle that relationship, I got to see the way he moves and I understood. But from a me point of view, I don't know. I don't understand. I mean, sometimes you have to change states, find the mom a job so that you can have your kids near you.
That's
Like
what you
I
did.
think I think that's what some men do.
That's what
Listen,
you
I
did.
know men. I know older.
Some
We talking
men do
about
that,
older
Marcus.
generations.
Salute,
Listen,
salute. That's
I
what's
know
up.
older generation of people who live on the same street as the man. Because back in the day in the country, they used to live on the same street, and they won't even see.
When I remember earlier when I was saying that we've been doing polygamy for a while, it just was done differently. That was one of the examples. We heard about that shit a lot.
I'm
And
sorry, y'all live on the same street.
and I think that probably some of it also stems from the grandfathers.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, like the kids are at home with mom, and I'm out here on the grind to make sure that life continues to be what it is for us. And I think that is something that they pass down. But I think what happens as it passes further and further down, we begin, I want to say our generation began to understand that in order to have healthy adults that we need to be there and we can also grind and still spend time with our kids. Like, and I think we figured that out, and I just don't think it was a skill that was taught to them. If I'm going to be completely frank, like they always like
You can
the man
partially.
is knocking on 70, and his day is more full than mine. Is like he doesn't know how to not work, right? He doesn't know how to take time for himself, and I think that that's part of their excuse is that it was a skill that they were never taught, and they got to see the grind from their dad, who got to see the grind from their dad, who got to see the grind from working out in the field. And the kid was never really around them unless it was a boy. And then they would separate the family and sell the boy off with that. You see how far back I went, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let
Really?
me
I
let me
was
ask
like,
you.
huh?
Yeah, I went real far back.
Do you think we might have benefited then by not by so like if you look at the type of fathers that men tend to be today, like I remember it's a generation who would be like, I never change a diaper. I'm not holding the baby and doing all the stuff that the mom is supposed to do. Like
Hmm.
we way more amenable to those things, like or amicable to those things. Uh, do you think because that gap happened where we didn't get that in mass, just grind, 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 don't be there, just grind, that we adopted new principles and became better fathers because we had to rewrite from scratch?
I would say that education helped. We're
Okay.
better educated than our fathers and the fathers before them. So I think that we have a better grasp, and I think each generation is going to get better at it. I hope. Where these niggas and these hoes is moving, who knows? Um,
You say the way the who is who? The way the what
Don't repeat that.
the way the who is who and the what is whatting.
Which is gonna get
but
us into our meat and potatoes later on.
but
Go ahead.
I think education and understanding and knowledge, I think helps us be better fathers than our fathers were to us, whether present or not.
So do you
So
think that you can be since we do know that through the research I saw that black men especially are the most involved with their children, and they're not necessarily married, they're not necessarily in the household. Do you think that it will be interesting to see if the results of that, like, does that make up the product okay, like meaning the kids fair to be, decent because of that, fairly.
wait, can you repeat that?
Okay,
Oh,
so when I saw remember the research I quoted earlier about how when you're the dad's not necessarily in the home, but he's still very involved in the kid's life.
mhm.
Does it give the same results as being in the kid's life, meaning as far as the kid is concerned, the success of the child?
If I had to guess, I would say no. Like, it's really hard to impute everything you want to do from a distance, right? No matter how well meaning your intentions are, it's just certain things you get from day to day interactions that you can't replicate, no matter how much quality time you spend with somebody. It's the middle in between time where you really get the bond, where you really get to know the person. It's the when you're not doing nothing, they not doing nothing. You say, "Oh, my son like to play with Legos. Let me get him this Lego set." You can't really plan that quality time where y'all go through him not knowing how to build stuff, and you teaching him each piece. And
But you know what? Let me take that. So when I look at it, so when I look at, let's just say we have two parents. We have Enaz and Marcus. They're married, even though Marcus is married. This is hypothetical. Enaz and Marcus are married. They don't not married. I'm sorry. They don't. They have a kid together. They're not married. This is hypothetical, you guys. So Marcus gets the kid 1 week. Enaz gets the kid 1 week. So he has to spend quality time with the kid because Enaz is not there to give him a break. He has to do it. He has to be hands on.
nah, we 1 week
That's not how
on,
that
1 week
works.
off. We'll be better staying together and raising the kid together. Like it, because it's gonna be some calls that a woman would make, right, or Inaz would make, and it's gonna be from her perspective. And if I wasn't there every day, I wouldn't be able to see it and be like, no, you're looking at this wrong, X, Y, Z. You get what I'm saying? It again, it's those intangibles that make relationships extremely valuable, that make you love somebody, and they help with raising a kid. It's not the stuff you can list on paper that's really gonna hit the hardest that come home. It's those in between things. The small things are really, really big things in the long run.
I like that. Good answer.
So just to add to that, there's also like the inconsistency,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think that no matter how much people try to create a level of consistency, you've two people operating separate individuals, right? That type of dynamic, no matter how hard you try to make it perfect, is still unstable for a child, right? And that hinders their ability to develop and to perform.
Wait, say it again. Which dynamic? I'm saying I heard everything, but which dynamic? The beginning part?
The inconsistency,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that brings us. So another point that I want to make, if somebody brought it up before we get into the meat and potatoes. One good point somebody brought up was you don't even know who your family members are. It's people in their 50s and 60s who don't even know their cousins. You can be going on a date with your cousin, your sister.
That is disgusting. And I told you that shit happened to my cousin before. Yeah, it definitely happened before.